Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, the podcast where father and son take the kitchen table arguments and heated discussions from their home directly to yours. Jim and Jack Boyle will explore the world as only they can. We might even let a few guests join the fun. So sit back, choose a side, watch the water temperature rise, and enjoy stimulating generational conversation about sports and life. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of It All Boils Down to This. And Jim and Jack, Jim, that's me, we're really happy to have our first guest guy coming in, Kevin O'Donnell, a good friend of ours from way back. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. I've been in eager anticipation for this for days and just super excited to be here. It's an honor.
The big question is, did you prep for this or not?
I took about 3 hours last night studying rivalries. I'm going back into early 2010 sports because Jack wanted to talk about that. Doing a little bit of an NFL preview as well to get educated, particularly on the NFC, because I feel like there's not a lot of good teams there. So,
and Jack, let's
happy to be here.
Thanks, Jack. Quick question for you is, how long have we known Mr. O'Donnell?
Mr. O'Donnell, I guess you coached him in third grade, but I really feel like the first time I started talking to Mr. O'Donnell, name's Kevin, was in the sixth grade because I think we were in the same house for middle school, which we have 3 houses. So I think that's when I met Kevin.
Shout out Explorer. I found out last night I was golfing with Greco, Riley Zaya, and Mr. Trevisani, and they were talking about how they changed the houses. Like after we left, it was Explorer, Challenger, Discovery, and then they changed it.
Did they change it like immediately?
They probably did. Greco's over there now.
Yeah.
We'll get Greco and Trevisani on the show eventually.
He wanted to zoom in today.
Yeah, we can't. We don't have the Zoom capability to zoom in.
Fun fact, do you know who came up with the names of the houses and the ideas for the names of the houses?
I would guess that would be NASA.
Brian Okay, well, you ruined it. It was Brian Kyra, who's is he the principal now?
No, he's the vice principal or associate principal. Yeah. I saw Brian Kyra at Eli's yesterday, too. Jeez, it's like an old home week for us down there. So, Kevin, welcome again into the show. And real quickly, why don't you give us a little bit of background on who you are, where you went? I see you got the big X. Is that because you're a big Xander fan?
Well, I went to Xavier University. Grew up here in Wilmington. Played travel ball with everybody here. JV baseball superstar. Couldn't feel the ball at third base. But besides that, pretty decent at sports overall, I guess. I don't know. Until we got to a certain age. Went to Xavier. Loved it there. And now I'm back working. But recently unemployed, though. So have a lot of time on my hands to do things like this podcast.
Yeah, one of the things I did, we're not going to talk about this podcast, but you've been traveling a lot too, correct?
Traveling a lot. Going to Ireland next week.
I'm going to Scotland next week. You go to the wrong place.
I know.
We should have coordinated. Go to the good places.
Our bougie European travelers in here.
Except for Jack with his bougie FSU hat on. How'd you get that FSU hat, Jack?
I guess I got it from Kevin. Where'd you get this hat, Kevin?
So shout out Olympia Sports, which is now no longer operating as a going concern. Got that for about $5, I would say, probably back in 2017. Been in my parents' place ever since.
Is Olympia done everywhere or just here?
It's totally done.
It's
totally,
done? There's
totally
no store
done.
Anywhere?
Nope.
It's like Sports Authority?
I will note, shout out Brian O'Shea, shout out John Froyo, shout out Ben Pastore. I was the inaugural guy to be inducted into the Olympia Sports Wilmington Hall of Fame. I believe it was December of 2020 or 2021. So,
hey, Kevin, quickly, did you just throw out a business term at me, like as a going concern?
Listen, Jim.
Geez, I can't believe we're going to talk some business here, too.
I start work in 2 weeks. I got to get ready. So
That's good. That's good. So you graduated Xavier. You're a Musketeer then, correct?
Musketeer till I die.
God almighty. God bless us all. Cincinnati. We'll talk a little bit of Cincinnati as we go back and forth with all this. I want to start off the quick podcast just to give a quick update. We are going to do our 7 Wonders, which is going to be drafting rivalries. We'll get to that at the end of the program. Jack, just real quick, we got to see Duke upset Clemson yesterday. Your boys from Florida State played a great game. Opening week in college football. What's your thought process?
First takeaway, I know Deion's trying to do it, but you can't build a program in God's name, image, and likeness like Dabo Swinney did. So that dynasty's over, and it couldn't happen to a worse guy. He is such a loser. All about him. It was just great to see them get clobbered by Duke last night. Yeah,
that's true. Kevin, did you watch?
No, I didn't. I was golfing with the guys, but I could have. But I was getting ready for this.
Yeah.
But quick question: why do you not like Dabo? Like I have no.
Oh, he's just it's always been about himself. He's always been front and center, always taking the thing, running down the hill when they come in. He's always sprinting for front and center. I just think it's all about him. Same with Deion.
All right.
Even though Deion does, I'll give Deion more credit actually than him.
He doesn't like Dabo because he beat Florida State all the time. That's all. It's really simple with Jack. Jack is really black and white. You know exactly who he likes because like if his dad likes them He don't like them. He hates them. And if there's anything against his team, he doesn't like. Do you think that's
Correct.
true?
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, if you do something against my team, yeah, sure, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So we'll not even ring Urias up tonight. But
We
that's
don't need to
another
talk.
story.
I have so much going on in that sort of department that I really don't need to talk about that right now.
So the other thing is
Not personally. I do need to clarify that.
that's true. Thank God. So the other big issue over the weekend was the Temple Owls did get started. I didn't get to see it because I took your mom to the Spectral Island on the Harbor Cruise. What was your impressions of what you watched of my boys?
Look, it's a good thing they won, but I would have been better off watching paint dry. It was just one of the most boring games ever. It's not the Temple that I knew from like 6-7 years ago, but the quarterback does look decent. The defense did look decent, and hopefully they could somehow get to 6 wins. It's going to be tough, but I just thought the game was a very boring game. They struggled a lot in the first half, and Akron was not a good team. So the second half was just kind of Temple slowly imposing their will and winning the game.
Just a little bit bigger and stronger. Kevin, college football, growing up, now, are there certain teams you've rooted for? I know Xavier is definitely not Division I football.
Don't have a football
but
team.
I'm just curious, anybody that growing up that you really followed?
I would say more than any, Notre Dame. Love the tradition of the school. Very similar to Xavier in a way, just kind of the values and everything. Midwest, I like that too. So hopefully, head back there. We went there, Chicago.
Yeah,
trip.
I was gonna talk about that trip at some point during the broadcast today because that was a fun trip.
Oh.
There's a lot of cool, fun stories that we have with that trip. Okay, so yeah, this is what happens when they walk by. The football team's in here. We won't
Fencing team.
The
The
fencing
peanut
team.
gallery. Yeah. Should have been a
fencing
segment
team.
on the show. It was great to meet that kid
All right,
before
yeah,
this.
back to Notre Dame. So you like Notre Dame? Was there another? I feel like you used to be an Ohio State fan. No,
Yeah, I had
Jim Tressel.
I liked pretty much every college sports team, I think, at one point in my life. But if any, I would say Notre Dame.
You know where Kevin, like 10-year-old Kevin, he never got to go there. The outlets in Pennsylvania would have been like heaven for him.
Oh yeah, it definitely would have been.
Oh, my God.
It's like $2 random Pittsburgh Pirate sweatshirts.
Right. Hey, Kevin, did
It
you
was
ever get to
unbelievable.
go to you went to Farmers Market down in Reading, right?
Of course. I bought the DeMarco Murray Eagles T-shirt.
He did get to go there. He
Yeah,
did.
but not. You remember the old one that was like in that brick building, and
Yeah.
you kind of walked across the tunnel to the other side. He never went there. He
No,
probably
that
went to like
doesn't
Boscov's or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Yes.
Boscov's definitely.
Yep, that's exactly where I went.
Yeah. So Kevin,
wasn't the
how
outlets.
many trips did you get to Philadelphia with us?
At least 2, I would say. Probably 3.
Can I tell my favorite Kevin story of the trip down to Philadelphia?
Let's
at
do it.
the
Yeah.
Wawa.
There's so many.
So no, this is my favorite one. So we go to. I take the boys, Kevin, Chris, Justin, and Jack, down to Philly once a Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving to see
Yep.
Temple football, and stayed at my parents' house or my cousin's or my nephew's house. We go to the farmers market. We eat. So we go into Wawa, which is a big like 7-Eleven type place, sandwich place in Philadelphia area. And Kevin goes in and he orders a turkey club. And it's taking forever for him to come out, and he's late, and I want to get moving. I want to go home. I go in, and he orders a turkey club without everything but the turkey and the bread. And I said, Kevin, why don't you just order a turkey sandwich with nothing on it? But that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite.
I think
stories.
there's a better, and it's the same thing. It's a food story from Philadelphia.
Oh, that's even better.
So let's confirm this if I remember correctly. But so Philadelphia, what is their most famous food item? Do we know? It's a cheesesteak. So the two most famous places, I feel like they're touristy. They're not the best place you're gonna get a cheesesteak. But
Pat's and Joe's,
Pat's and Geno's, right?
Oh, Geno's.
Which are right across the street from each other. So we go to, I think, Pat's. We went to.
yeah,
we might have went to Geno's.
No, it was Pat's.
4 of us. So I get a cheesesteak. Kevin gets Chris gets a cheesesteak. Justin gets a cheesesteak. Kevin gets a hot dog at Geno's. It was one of the craziest things ever.
Isn't it fun getting home on the podcast, get made fun of, Kevin?
Well, now I'm getting fat nowadays, so I eat everything that's put in front of me.
You're not as picky of an eater as you were?
No. Not at
No,
all.
I didn't get anything that day because I had to drive around because there were no parking. So I let you guys off.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I just drove around the block.
I don't even
South
remember
Philly's
that.
tough.
It
Wow.
wasn't even that good, to be honest, if I remember correctly.
Well, of course, like Jack, you're right. Geno's and Pat's are like the names, but it's a tourist attraction. There's a million other places where we probably go. You're actually
but that
experiencing.
cheesesteak we had at the shore
right,
this year.
You're
Ooh.
experiencing a cheesesteak revolution. Revelation.
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 That was good.
With that.
Yeah,
Cheesesteak
down at the shore there, we went to like a pizza place and got pizzas and cheesesteaks just from like a local pizza place.
Oh,
Yes.
great. I wish I would have went this year.
So next year we'll try to get if Mrs. Boyle allows us, maybe we get all the group down there again for a couple of days because it was a great setup. Howard and Patrice, if you're listening, I'm sure they're not because they're down in Philadelphia, but if Howard and Patrice Feldman, they have the house down there, they let us stay there for a week. It was phenomenal. Howard set up the big, he's got the 80-inch screen out back with the ping pong table and the hot tub and the fire pit and the refrigerator and the grill and everything's out there, and it's just unbelievable. So hopefully you guys will get down there. Transition back to sports real quick, guys. Arsenal is Kevin. Man U is Jack. A big match this weekend. What happened, Kevin? Why don't you give it lead? Because Jack told me you were disappointed as well.
Yeah, it's been a tough start for Arsenal this season. I've overall been disappointed. If you're going to win a title, you got to win games more convincingly. But this past weekend, it was excellent. Last year, we had a goal taken back from VAR. I ran around my apartment celebrating in front of him, got taken back. This year, the same thing happened to him, and then we scored in the 96th minute to win. Always great beating Man United. But still overall disappointed in the performance. I wish I enjoyed it more, actually, but it was great to see him storm out of the Greco household without even saying goodbye after the game finished.
Yeah,
I was actually before the game finished.
He did come before because I was following it on.
And then we scored again.
I know.
3-1.
Yeah. So I do have to say, I think it's either year 8 or year 9 as a Man United fan now. I was thinking that was one of the worst losses I've ever had.
Really?
Dead serious. I don't think it's. I know it's earlier on in the season, but
that's what I mean.
It was Arsenal away, and it felt like we had kind of snuck in a win there, and we had won that game, and it would have been just the because now it's been a meltdown really in the past 48 hours since that game's happened. And it would have been equally as much of a meltdown from Arsenal, I feel like. The Arsenal fans and everyone. It would have been a mess if they lost that game. So it just would have been such a huge win, and we had it. And, you're playing Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. What do you expect?
I don't expect much out of those two teams, by the way. I did go to Arsenal Emirates Stadium.
You did?
And we did a tour of that a couple years ago. And I did get to see a Premier League game last year, Southampton, who got relegated.
Me too.
I got to see Ronaldo play.
He saw Southampton win.
You saw Southampton. Who'd they beat?
Oh, no. You see Southampton. I
thought you said me too for Southampton.
You
saw.
I know
West
what
Ham,
I went across the pond in April. Saw Arsenal choke a lead. I was in the end when Partey did the turnover for the goal that led to a penalty, and then also saw the Bukayo penalty miss. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Went to a second division game though, QPR versus Coventry. That was good. A lot of interesting profanities thrown around there. Went to the Emirates as well. Did the tour, too. So
yeah, and at Southampton, who is now a championship team, we were sitting basically with the Ultras, which are the fans that are behind the home team goal that they attack in the second half, and they're standing the whole game and singing the whole game, and it was just an unbelievable experience. I had to really keep quiet, and I remember when we scored, we won the game 1-0. When we scored, my dad, what do I call you, Jimbo? He told me.
Okay, let's come up with a new. No, that's fine. You call me
the producer of this podcast was like, "Did you know they scored? Did you see they scored?" Because I was just standing there with my arms crossed, keeping to myself because everyone around us was not too happy.
Yep.
So before I ask the next Premier League, the question is, I go back to Southampton. It was an experience.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. Where we sat was great. Did Fernandez score?
Yes.
Yeah, my
Bruno.
brain still works a little bit. Not great. So it was an experience. So I understand what those fans go through. So Kevin, and then you, Jack, how did you pick Arsenal? How do you decide on I'm going to be an Arsenal fan?
Honestly, I took a very slow approach to picking. My first full season watching was the 2013-14 season when the Gerrard slip happened. Liverpool choked the league to Man City, which happened a couple more times, actually, in recent years. Love that team, love the Premier League, loved everything about it. But there's just something about Arsenal, just the way Arsenal carries themselves, the tradition, the culture, the history, the location in London, everything about it. Just love the team. They actually have not been good up until last year since supporting them. But just one of those things that was a perfect fit for me, made a lot of sense. And it's been a lot of painful years, but things are looking up nowadays, so it's good.
Jack, real quick, I'm going to go. Didn't your father, good friend Tom O'Donnell?
Shout out Tom.
Shout out to Tom and Lisa. And your sister. Where's your
Karina?
sister?
I'm actually the second O'Donnell being interviewed by you.
You are the second O'Donnell, you're right. Karina got here before you as a field hockey captain.
Yep.
She's off to college now, though, correct?
She is. Just moved into Amherst. Yep.
That's awesome. So your dad took you went to see the Arsenal in L.A., is that correct?
Yeah, we went out to, it was L.A. We were there. They played Chivas Guadalajara. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But that was my first game. But preseason game, though. My first real. I went to MLS All-Stars, too. Arsenal versus MLS All-Stars in D.C. this summer, too. So but preseason games, so they're like half count,
Right, but that's like I said, the Premier League experience, like Jack. We were in an unbelievable section, and they, even though their team probably sucks because they got relegated. It was a lot of fun. So, Jack, you get the next one. Why Man U? And any really are you thrilled you picked Man U, not Man City?
Well, of course I'm thrilled. Man City, yeah.
Man City's pathetic. They're a fake club.
I couldn't live with myself if I picked Man City, and it would suck. It would suck winning so instantly and so much. And like it's almost like the grind, like Kevin's went through. It's going to make the winning better. Right? Last year was probably so awesome for Kevin.
Can I interrupt you for a second? The grind doesn't make it better.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
the grind.
How are you going to say that? How are you going to say that?
100% does.
If
you pick like a City or a Chelsea or now a Newcastle, like you don't want any struggle in life, and that's pathetic.
But think about him with like the Red Sox. He grinded for so long. You can't tell me like 2004 wasn't the greatest thing that ever happened to you.
What was your first year of the Red Sox?
I saw the Sox in Baltimore in 1970. I can remember back to I remember the '68 World Series was
34 years.
Detroit,
Yeah.
Detroit and St. Louis. But I do back then started Red Sox fan.
It's longer than Liverpool, 34 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so to go back to it, so my first time as a fan was it was the 15-16 season, 2 years later than Kevin. Basically, I picked Man United because the first time we were playing FIFA a lot. And that's what got me into soccer. And Kevin had played FIFA, and he was a soccer fan.
I should have mentioned that as well.
So with him watching soccer, I was like, you know what? I want to try watching soccer. And I picked Man United because the first time I got FIFA, the team I knew was Man United. So I went with Man United. And, yeah, you know what? It hasn't been great, and I'm a rare Man United fan that has not seen us really win anything because most Man United fans, they've had a lifetime of success already. But the past 10 years have been horrendous for us, so... But I regret nothing. I can't say the club carries themselves that well, but the history's great, and it's a good story of a football club. And when they do, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and you churn through coaches like you wouldn't believe it. And we did. Didn't we do a
everyone
Trevi?
does.
Didn't we do a Trevi Fountain thing with you? You wanted. What was the Trevi Fountain thing? I don't remember.
So we went to the Trevi Fountain, which if I ever do get back to the Trevi Fountain, I'm cursing it because it is a. I have to say,
you
Kevin.
got half of your wish though.
Kevin.
He got the half his.
Oh
wish
yeah,
he
it really
like.
helped me that wish.
Well,
Kevin was going to go to the Trevi Fountain. If Kevin went to the Trevi Fountain when he did, the success Arsenal's having right now would not be happening. So what I wished for was this player called Jadon Sancho and a title within the next 5 years. We're on year 5 now. That title's not coming. We got Jadon Sancho 3 years ago. Total flop. After the Arsenal game, he totally tanked his United career by saying he's been scapegoated to be something because he hasn't trained properly. He's just a big loser. So that fountain cursed me. Oh,
So,
it
Jack,
cursed
in
me.
reality, now you know what it's like to be a Yankee fan who was born in 1999. Is that correct? Because Man U had great success, and now the Man U has not done.
At least
anything.
the Yankees won something though.
No, that's actually very.
Yeah.
But
Man
that was in
probably won
2009. Man United won in 2013. I just wasn't a fan. It's very similar, the situations those two teams have been in the past 10 years. Except the Yankees have made ALCSs. The Man United has not had a title charge since they won it.
So, Kevin, you mentioned something that was, I think, important because I know with the students at school that when I was teaching back there last year, that really exacerbates the knowledge and the want to see it is FIFA. On the PlayStation or whatever, Xbox.
Yeah.
So is that really where you got your knowledge, or is that where you really got your will to want to be a fan?
So I think it was FIFA 08 on Nintendo. What is it, DS or something like that?
Nintendo DS or the Game Boy maybe.
So I used to play like career mode a ton on that and play with all the teams. So that's how I got into it, like knew the players and stuff. And then I got like FIFA 12, FIFA 13, then started hanging out with these guys, and we started playing it all together and stuff. And then like he said, like I was kind of the first one to kind of fully watch everything. Then was like telling all them to get into it. So yeah, I think it's a great entry point for anybody that wants to get into it, because when you're not over there, when you're in America, that's the best way to learn about like all the teams, all the players, all that. So
it also is convenient because the time that I think Kevin started watching was the time where NBC really started picking up and broadcasting the games every week. So you can watch the game. You can watch every single Premier League game now. So that makes it easier to be a fan as well.
Correct.
So I correct to assume that you guys know the names of the players through playing FIFA, or do you know the names of the players through watching all these different teams and games?
Now it's more watching, but
more
at the
watching.
start, I learned everything from FIFA.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Tactics, all that.
Yeah.
Like how the game is played too.
Paul Pogba's hairstyles, everything.
Awesome.
Shout out Paul Pogba.
So
Shout out Paul Pogba.
Well,
as we wrap up
Juventus Paul Pogba.
the Arsenal Man United segment,
Heard again.
Greco and Trevisani are both Liverpool guys, right?
well,
Trev was an original Liverpool guy when they sucked, and then they got good, and he wasn't. And then Chris became a Liverpool fan right when they were getting good, and now they're, I guess, average.
I love Justin Trevisani, great kid. The fact that he wasn't able to see Liverpool in the Champions League final that one day was one of the more crazier things that's ever happened.
He had to celebrate a birthday party, but
I'm not going to say anything.
There were the other. You can't just say that. He had other opportunities. It's not like they didn't go on and win the league 2 years out, or they won the Champions League the year after that. So he could have watched that final.
You know what, this is actually a great point. He stopped playing FIFA, and then he stopped watching.
Yeah.
So there's a correlation there with him.
I believe it. I do know when we talk. The kids at school, some of them are sitting out here behind me. You can't see them because we closed the curtains.
It's a big crew.
They're doing some football interviews for Under the Lights here at WCTV. Some of these kids have drafted with us. We draft the all-time NBA team, and it's just so funny that they're all about, what they've seen either on. Well, Larry Bird did this in NBA 2K, and
really?
Michael Jordan. Yeah, it's amazing, kind of crazy.
Yeah, Larry Bird's shot was not good in 2K13. Tough release point to get. I get that.
Yeah, so
they weren't playing 2K13 though. That's before their time.
So finishing up. Premier League, what's the future hold for both teams? Quick, give me a quick synopsis. Kevin first, then Jack.
Future's bright with Arsenal. I think we're either the youngest or second youngest team in the league. Finished second last year. Took them all the way to basically April when I watched the start of the collapse. I think the next 3-4 years will be awesome for Arsenal. Man United, I don't know, not that great.
I think our future's fine. I do think we're gonna. I think we'll make top 4 this season. I think everything's gonna settle down. We'll get healthy, and I do think we're just gonna. We'll get into a consistent mode, and we'll go on a run of 2-3 months where we really get results like we did last year. But in terms of like winning things, even for Arsenal, we gotta wait till this guy Pep Guardiola leaves because nobody's winning anything until he's gone. He not only is he now the best manager in the history of the sport of soccer, he's one of the best coaches in the history of sport anywhere.
So you're telling
he's finding different. He's getting bored. He's creating new systems and ways to win the league.
Well, you can get bored when you have an unlimited amount of money to spend that you're bankrolled by the UAE.
But it's more than that. Man United has unlimited money to spend. Chelsea has unlimited money to spend. He's winning easily. I guess
Arsenal
last year they had to come back
spend,
a bit.
But you still don't spend it.
I did see. So
We've been spending.
Man City's like making
Shout
ways
out Stan
to win.
Kroenke.
So Man City, I saw this year one of their players was like, last year they had to come from behind to win the league. This year one of their players was like, it was Kyle Walker. He was like, I was saying to some of my teammates, why don't we try and win the league this year like in 17-18 when we got 100 points and ran away with it? It's like they're just like last year they got bored and they tried new things and they were like, oh, we'll come from behind and win it. This year they'll win it by 15 points.
Both teams, both Man U and Arsenal in the Champions League, correct?
Yeah.
And what's the outcome for that? What do you guys think?
More likely to win that than win the Premier League.
Yeah.
It'll be easier to win that.
Yep.
But I don't know. Arsenal first time in there since 2014 or 2015. Like 2016, I think.
That means you guys must have really sucked for a couple years.
Horrible. Back-to-back 8th place finishes, Jimbo. It was, talk about living hell. Oh, my God, horrible. Taking down flags in my college dorm room.
There you go.
Everything about
Number
it. Just
34.
horrible.
Hey, that's a great transition. College dorm room brings us to you went to school in Cincinnati, Xavier, or the
Correct.
Musketeers.
Yeah. I
you can speak to this. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I've been Philadelphia, Boston. Jack's been here his whole life. You going to Cincinnati for a couple of years. What's the vibe, the sports cities between Cincinnati and Boston? What's your take?
think people in Cincinnati really care about their sports. There's just a smaller market overall. Like when the Bengals and the Reds are good, people get into it. But I wouldn't say like sports radio isn't like ready to like crucify them like here. Like there's no Felger and Maz going on in Cincinnati. But people care obviously about their college basketball between UC and Xavier. Bengals, FC Cincinnati. Me and Greco just went out there. He did a trip, kind of seeing my college life out there, which was cool. But yeah, no, it's a great little city. Highly recommend a visit. No more than 2 or 3 days. You can get it all in there, but awesome time. Miss it a lot.
I hear the only good thing about Cincinnati is you can escape to Kentucky whenever you want to go down to Louisville, right?
Shout out to Covington, Kentucky. Have a lot of friends there. So yeah, Northern Kentucky, great place.
So let's rank the sports teams. We know in Boston, Jack. How about you? How would you rank the 4 teams in Boston right now?
What does that mean?
Who's the most popular down to the least popular?
I guess the Pats are still the most popular, and then the Red Sox, but because they're always almost going to be. But then, I don't know. That's a bad question. I don't know. I don't know. I guess
it's a bad question, Kevin. Because you can't answer. It's a bad question.
No, it's a bad question because I think that answer is always the same. That answer is almost always the same. It's almost always going to be Patriots, Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins.
Okay.
It's almost always going to be like that.
I think the Celts, if they start to really win, and the Bluminati start kicking our Red Sox down a little bit, you don't think that that changes the equation?
Well, the Celtics
clearly. Did you just say Bluminati?
Yes.
Yeah.
You haven't heard that yet, Kevin?
No.
Where you've been
No.
living under a rock?
Yeah, I gotta check Red Sox Twitter more.
Jack and I are anti-Bloom, so we're not Bluminati. The Bluminati always tell you that we went from the 25th ranked farm system to the 5th ranked farm system. We went from the 5th ranked team to the 20th ranked team.
We're anti-Bloomites here.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, the Celtics. I think they have clearly in this town the best chance to win, so they're going to get scrutinized almost the most, but actually they don't. The Patriots are still number one. The Patriots dominate everything.
All right, good. So, Kevin, Cincinnati, I'm going to give you 5 teams, so
Sure.
not counting anybody across the river. You've got the Bengals,
Yep.
You got the Reds, you got Xavier basketball, you got UC basketball, you got UC football, who went to the championships.
Oh, that's a good point.
How does the city of Cincinnati see those 5 teams?
Interesting. I would probably say the Bengals is the most popular. The Reds almost always stink. So it's like a great place to go. Like if you just want to go to the ballpark, like there's great downtown and bars there. Basically the only bars in Cincinnati are right outside the ballpark. So like go there at 7:00 for, a $5 ticket. Then after that, get some beers, which is good. The most heated is definitely Xavier Cincinnati. I know we'll get into rivalries later. That might foreshadow one of my picks. But yeah, good point about UC football. Since I didn't go to UC, like, I don't know. People don't really talk about it that much, but I'm sure if I went to that school, it'd be a big topic. But
again, I like to come back to Boston, Philadelphia, New York, our professional markets.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to rivalries, and you're not going to see a lot of rivalries, Boston College rivalries, or Boston College, or whoever, or Northeastern, or whatever. Here in Boston, and even in Philadelphia, the college teams are always ranked below the 4 professional sports teams. So my question really then for you is how big? I know it's big rivalry between Xavier and Cincinnati, and Xavier's been pretty good lately. They got in the Big East.
4 straight wins.
How big is it compared to Bengals and the Reds? Is there a certain structure that the 2 pro teams, and if the college teams are good, everybody likes them, or they're just or are the college teams an afterthought?
There's not a lot of schools in Cincinnati, so a lot of the kids, a lot of the kids that might have a bit more money in the area might go to Xavier, and then a lot of the other kids might go to UC. Usually the Bengals have also stunk too.
Yeah, that's true.
So it kind of wavers a bit. But, I would say, when the crosstown shootout happens, that kind of stops the city for the weekend. It's happening December 9th. I'm going to try to get out there maybe for that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough. It's a small market. Professional sports there can definitely waver. I wouldn't say it's like life or death here. Not even close, I would say.
Because the professional sports have really sucked over the last 20
horrible.
years, if you think about it. So being a small market is different than here. So there's a major difference between.
1,000%.
Okay, Jack, what are you doing with your mic there?
Sorry about that. I went down in my chair, so if I look kind of really tiny right now, that's why.
This is what happens when you leave the mechanical things to Jack. Go, what, Jack?
Unbelievable.
No, I have no point.
No point?
Yeah. No.
All right, so no point. That's good. We finally shut him out, Kevin. Talk about
It's
Cincinnati.
very rare
Shut
to
him
have him
up.
shut up.
That's
Yeah.
true. You guys both played rec basketball, travel basketball, baseball together. We were on. You were both on the travel B team. So I always like to find different stories so you guys can remember about that team and the positives and negatives. And let's not be negative about anybody if we don't have to. If we do want to talk about Dalio, we can talk about Dalio all we want.
I did want to say one of my favorite moments was Dalio's first possession is shooting on the wrong basket, his first touch, and scoring for the other team. That was a good one. I think that was Tewksbury, I want to say.
Yes.
No, it wasn't Tewksbury. It was in Tewksbury. It was one of the tournament games.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. My favorite, because we actually in 3 years, this is B team stuff for you. We had three shots on the wrong basket, 2 for 3 in 6th grade. In 6th grade, Natish got one, like a wide open, like 12-footer that he missed, and I just remember Tommy T going, "We can't even hit open shots on the wrong basket."
And who was the other? I remember
and the other one was
Sean.
This is the worst one because it was off a free throw.
Yeah.
Sean Marshall grabbed a rebound off a free throw. The other team was taken and did like a power move and put it up.
Oh, it was half the court. He sprinted down, I'm pretty sure.
No. Sean's was on a rebound.
Yeah,
it was
a defensive rebound,
throw, yeah.
and he made it was a great move. It was exactly what we practiced, except it was with the wrong basket.
Unbelievable.
It was off a free.
Awesome.
The other team was shooting a free throw at the basket. And he got the rebound, and put it up.
We were at the middle school. So those days, Kevin, you played for
Bill Ricca too.
2 years or three, and Jack, you 3 years as well, right? What were the highlights for you, Kevin? Anything?
My jump shot against Andover. Chris Greco shooting the ball on the other side of the backboard against Revere when he played down with us. Tommy T, just anytime during practice, was always a spectacle.
Evan,
him shouting out, trailer.
Other like Desire.
Oh, the Desire speech. Shout out Fred Barone.
What speech was that? Did I miss something?
The Desire?
Oh,
speech?
I was probably there. I zoned out, I'm sure.
Oh.
Just about rebound. It's all about
Yeah.
Desire.
Something I was not good at, rebound.
Yeah, no, because it's about desire.
Stat sheet. That would have been
I don't think Kevin had much desire when he was playing basketball.
We do have the stat sheet at home, though, if you want it. No, I think, to be honest with you, Kevin, the game you played, the first playoff game against, second playoff game against Andover that got us to the finals. Mm-hmm. You put on a second half performance for the ages. We hit a couple shots, but did some defense, and then you got stuck behind everyone on the bench for the final game. But that was one of the big ones. Any other, Jack? Any Tommy T quotes we can throw?
Off the top of my head, really no, but I don't know, just everything. Just him talking about the team, him at the games, him yelling during the games. He got a technical foul once. It was very funny. Just, I don't know. I can't, pinpoint one thing.
There was a time against Revere where there was a phone call happening. We were watching the clip, and it was Tommy T on the phone and then passing it to Fred. It was Matt Hansen showing up late for the game, and we had, nobody on the bench. Yeah. It was just funny to see the interaction between them two. There was wasn't there a missed layup where it was a lefty layup? It went over the backboard, and then Tommy was, trying not to laugh or keep his composure, and then Lisa was yelling at him from the stands.
Yeah.
Be quiet.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's watching the videos, because we have a lot of the 8th grade on tape, just his reactions to some of the stuff, unbelievable.
So
just the way he would flail his arms and do the little hop thing. J-Trop kind of does the same thing with little hop, but just the reactions he has, unbelievable.
So the other thing is, if you think about it, from 6th to 7th to 8th, we did make the finals in 8th grade.
Yep.
So we had to have some semblance of talent, or the league was terrible.
Yeah.
What would you contribute? What do you think contributed to that progression to get better and better, Kevin?
I think the league definitely got worse, I would say, at first. But we played together for 3 years straight, right? I mean, there were some people that got in and out, but I would say there was a core of 7, 8 of us that stayed every single year. And so I thought that was important. But, camaraderie.
Plus the fact we played 50 games a year, it didn't hurt.
Definitely.
The league changed, it got easier. So, the first year we got eliminated by Lowell. In the first game, Yeen destroyed us.
Oh,
the second year, we got beat by Lowell in the second round. Ben Maynard had a huge game. And some other kid from Lowell just cooked us and beat us. And then the third year, we got to the finals, beat Andover, beat Chelmsford in the first round, and then we lost to our nemesis, Billerica. Kind of got blown out, too.
Yeah, I think we lost to Billerica because they understood the high post, low post offense that we couldn't defend. So they'd throw it high, throw it low, and then everybody open shots. I think we lost control of that game a little bit in the first half, but that's just from my analytical perspective. There might be other reasons we could have lost that game, but I think we probably didn't have the talent to win that game, but you always thought you had a shot. So so travel basketball was a lot of fun. Kevin, what about the worst moment for you? What was that? If you look back, you say, I just wish that never had happened. Anything you got?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Playing all the games for Kevin.
There's probably 1,000 missed rebounds. I don't know. I was overall just very below average, so I guess most of it.
Kevin's worst moment had to have been going to the second a night game than when we had played in the morning on a Saturday, a doubleheader.
Yeah, more the ride to the game.
Yeah. We actually, what's funny is we actually had some great rides because Dalio was with us 8th grade almost all the time in the car with us. And, not just basketball, but baseball as well. So
good.
But it was a simple question. Did you guys have fun?
I
had fun.
I look back on it very fondly. Me and Justin were talking about it last night. If we could go back and do it all over again, I would sign up right now. You know what I mean? I probably didn't enjoy it as much as I should have during those days.
That's what happens when you get older, Jack.
Yeah. I enjoyed it while playing. I enjoy it now. So
yeah,
I could have been better. I know. I watched the tape and I was like, I should have been better, but it is what it is.
We all could have been better at some point, and sometimes there's no worry. Before we go on to our 7 wonders, we talked a little bit fantasy football. I mean, you were talking to us at the house. I don't know what game was on, but something was on. It was before the Arsenal game the other day, right?
Oh yeah.
No, before you did your podcast real quick, what's the name of your podcast? Why don't you give that a shout out?
What is it called? Oh, Specialist in Failure. Shout out Jose Mourinho.
Special Civilian.
You don't have to listen to it.
I'm not going to listen to it, but
it's an underground podcast. It doesn't get the same production level as WCTV. It's more of just going back, having this on record, and listening back to it to see what our thoughts were at the time. And maybe we'll go mainstream, though.
Do you actually say things you regret saying?
No, but documenting takes, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
like
good.
Danny Ceballos, if he comes back on loan, the manager should be fired.
Okay, that's
and that did not happen.
It did happen. He did come back.
And you know what's funny? What's funny? What's funny? Nobody really gives a crap about whether he comes back. And I've never even heard of the guy. And I've heard of a lot of guys. Is he a Man U guy or an Arsenal guy?
He was on Arsenal. He's back on Real Madrid.
Okay.
I can't believe Danny Ceballos is getting airtime right now.
Does Danny Ceballos actually get minutes?
He won an FA Cup with us, though. He started 2020.
The FA Cup. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was at your house.
I know that. I forgot. The FA Cup, the Caribou Cup, this cup, the Jockstrap Cup.
You name the two cups.
Well, then you get the Champions League,
Yeah.
you get the European League, you get the Premier League, and every once in a while, let the losers play in a game here and there. There is another cup that Wrexham's playing for. It's like the FA Cup's got another sub-FA Cup, which is sub-Caribou Cup. So, but we'll see what happens with that. Fantasy football, how was your draft, Kevin?
I'm not educated enough to know how well I did or didn't do. I haven't played probably in like 2 or 3 years, so back in the saddle now in 2 weeks, both for money too. So I'm probably down about $100 now, a few months from now. But
it's all locked over.
It's good to be back.
All right, and Jack, you got an A+ on our draft.
Oh, I hate fantasy football. It's whoever's team's the healthiest, really.
And you know what? Because we're probably going to go on a hiatus for 2 weeks, so I'm going away. Jack and I are just before we go to rivalries, because this is the Jack and Jim rivalry. In the semifinals of our fantasy baseball league playoffs started last night, so it's going to be a battle going forward. He has taken me down like twice in the last 2 years or 3 years, but that's okay because his all of a sudden his hitting and his pitching goes absolutely nuts for like 2 weeks.
I'd like to point out to this fantasy league, it was originally him and his work friends, and he used to dominate the league. I think he won 3 of the first 5 years. I entered the league. He hasn't won since.
That's because we switched the format.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
It's a switch format. We went there.
Sounds like an excuse.
I've won. Yeah, that's an excuse.
Sounds like an excuse.
Yeah,
no excuses. Here's my excuse. I'm going to kick your ass this week and next week. I'm going to be in Scotland, and I'm going to dance on the freaking grave of whatever grave I can find once you lose. I'm going to send a video back to you.
What's going to happen is it's going to be Sunday Night Baseball. It's going to be about 2 a.m. You're going to be asleep, and I'm going to get like a walk-off hit or something that takes me over the line against you. You're going to wake up and be very upset.
I can tell you right now, it ain't coming down to Sunday. So say goodnight to. What's your name of your team?
It's trust the process, even though we've already won a championship. So if we go back to back, then the process was trusted.
And my name is an abomination because one kid accused me of being an abomination to the sport. So I changed it to Barack Obama Nation. So they just pissed people. Go, Jack, real quick.
2 of his championships came during the Obama presidency, so that's how long ago it was.
and one came during the Trump presidency, so that's how long ago. It was only 3 years ago. Although the Trump presidency felt
wasn't.
Like
can I ask what was your process?
My process was I took over like the worst team in the league.
Oh, and there's a lot of keepers in that.
5
league,
keepers,
right?
yeah.
Got it. We got 5 keepers.
I processed.
He processed these. Who was your first pick for this year after the keepers? Who'd you pick first?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Trust the process. Trust my process.
Well, it's not. We trust the process. We pick talent. I don't know.
You pick talent who beats his wife. All right. That's
no.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, shout out Anthony as well.
At least you didn't have Wander Franco who deals things with underage girls. All right, so let's go on to our 7 Wonders segment. Kevin, this is we've told you about this, where we do like more of a draft type of thing where it's going to have to be a snake draft with 3 of us. We're going to draft the rivalries, and then everybody fights. Jack always thinks he wins the thing, and then we talk.
No.
Then we talk to people, and they say, "No, Jack didn't win that shit." Jack didn't always talk about.
Of course.
Okay, no. That is so outrageous. I've never said the only time I say I win it, I have showed the first 2. I showed J-Trev both of them blindly without who picked who. J-Trev picked mine twice. That's how I said I won. You take it up with him, not me. Not me, him. When he's in here next week, take it up with him.
I have known Jack Boyle for I think over a decade at this point. He has never been wrong, according to him. Never.
No, I was wrong about
everything.
I was wrong.
He's more wrong than right.
About.
I would say 80% of the time.
No, that's very incorrect. I said
that. Okay, 90% of the time.
I said that Man United would win the league when Ronaldo came back. Wrong. Very wrong. I said that Ronaldo was a good player. Wrong.
Oof.
Hey, you remember you also went to the Trevi Fountain.
Well, I was right.
Well, okay, so here's how this
right.
half right. They haven't won the league. They get Jadon Sancho, so now they're not going to win the league because they got Jadon Sancho.
Yeah.
He's harmed our ability.
All right, so Kevin, this is how it's going to work. We didn't get a coin, so we're going to have to figure a way to do this.
Kevin goes first, then
You can go second. I don't give a crap.
heads and
Guess first.
What? All right, I'll go second then.
So we got you ready to go, Kev? So
I'm ready to
rivalries.
go.
Okay, so before we go, with rivalries, I think you have to look at it a couple ways, and I'm going to explain how if one gets picked, I'll use this as an example.
I got
Is the rivalry amongst the fans? Is the rivalry amongst the players? Is the rivalry amongst the owners, or is the rivalry amongst is it a city rivalry? It's like the city's rivalry, like Athens and Sparta was a city rivalry. So he laughs. So I'm going to let you go first, Kevin. Let's switch the camera over. Kevin's got the first pick in the rivalries. Go ahead.
All right. This is bad because I feel like I'm gonna have more than half of mine be soccer, and I'm really trying to not do that.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. You can have soccer.
I am going to do Barcelona, Real Madrid, El Clasico. That is, in my opinion, the whole world is invested in that rivalry because they have fans all across the world. It transcends time. Messi, Ronaldo, over the past 10+ years. I didn't even know this. There's a political type of thing with that rivalry between Catalonia and the rest of Spain.
Yeah.
Just probably, I think, combined. Well, Real Madrid has the most Champions League ever. Does Barcelona have the second most? I don't know.
I think Milan does, and then Liverpool.
Oh, yeah, maybe Milan. Basically, they own the country of Spain, La Liga. It's number one for me by far.
So you're going with number one being is it not the players? It's more the fans and the cities.
Correct.
He literally said Ronaldo, Messi. That's a pretty
Well, that's over the past
rivalry.
decade, but that's not the reason why the rivalry.
All right, Jack.
That really helped it though. I had that ranked number 2. Number 1, I have Red Sox, Yankees. From Babe Ruth and the Curse of the Bambino to DiMaggio versus Williams to Munson versus Fisk to Pedro, who's your daddy, to Aaron Boone's home run, to David Ortiz in the home run, to as recently as 2018 in Joe Kelly's fight. I just think it's the most iconic rivalry we have in American sports.
I agree with you, and since you got second pick, you got to pick it. This is one where I was talking to Jack about this last night. It was really the players hated each other. I mean, back when baseball didn't have free agency, so the players hated each other. The Babe Ruth getting traded was one thing, but everyone, and then they always compared DiMaggio and Williams. That was a rivalry. But when you got to the 70s, which is when I really was starting to pick up my fandom as a young guy, the players just hated each other. So
you basically just repeated what I said.
No shit, I repeated what you said.
No, it was
I'm just
Munson
saying,
and
from
Fisk.
my perspective,
Who ran over who? Munson ran over Fisk?
Well, actually, it was Nettles and Bill Lee had a major frickin' brawl. Munson and Fisk ran over, but the biggest brawl was Nettles, and it was 76. And Nettles and Bill Lee got in a battle, and Billy got his left shoulder busted open. And then Clemens left for there, and Boggs. So that would say basically. But I
forgot the best one. It was Pedro and Don Zimmer.
Yeah,
I was just about to say that. I was also thinking about that, 2003, 2004, obviously, and then also the wild card game recently.
Yeah, and then another one.
Awesome.
It was going on the Boone home run. It was the rumor that Steinbrenner flipped off the Red Sox bus as they were leaving the Yankee Stadium. The owner of the Yankees was literally flipping off the Red Sox team coach as they drove away.
But then, to his credit, he let linger on Yankee Stadium field when they won in 2004. So.
Yeah, and then to his credit, he raised his son to be a loser.
That's true. So I got the next pick, and I can go because I'm getting back-to-back picks here, aren't I? So yeah. I'm going to go with Celtics Lakers for my next one because again that epitomized, that brought basketball back in the 80s, and the only issue I have with that making that pick is. They only play each other twice a year. It's not like it's like the Sixers and Celtics used to be really huge, but I'm going to go with Lakers Celtics, and then the other one I'm going to stick with basketball, and I'm going to go with the Duke Carolina basketball, which I think is one of the top ones. Carolina
matches your shirt today.
So
yeah, Duke Carolina is a lot like Madrid and Barcelona, two cities that just despise each other, and two academic institutions that don't. Jack?
So this is a really tough look for the Jack's Always Wrong people because the top 4 thing, the 1 through 4, all just got picked top 4. So you guys agreed with me. So good take.
I also had those.
That was my 1 through 4.
That was all right. There's one out of my top 5.
And then I just like to say, Duke Carolina. That's just That's a location rivalry more than I think anything. And then they play each other. They play each other twice a year too.
Right,
though.
but they play each other twice a year
And
in
the
the
conference
context
championships.
Of it,
And then the Red Sox, the Lakers, Celtics. That goes even back more than Bird and Magic. You know, it was Jerry West used to lose all the time, and then Wilt. The biggest rivalry of the '60s and early '70s was Wilt versus Russell, and they ended up playing each other, Celtics, Lakers, and then it ended up being Kobe versus the Garnett teams and Pierce.
So now that we've got the easy ones out of the way, there's a couple of really good
I think
ones.
there's so I'm going to go.
Let me guess. Let me see if Jack's going to go with college football.
Yep.
Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Give the dad some credit.
No, I have it ranked number 5.
Bingo.
I have to go with it. If my highest ranked thing's still there.
I could have guessed that a million times.
I love that game every year, and it's flipped a little bit. It used to be Ohio State, for me at least. Ohio State for like 11, 12 years would win every year, and Michigan's won the past 2 years. That game, though, at those two stadiums, the Horseshoe and the Big House, every year, the same weekend, I'm always excited for it. And even though some of the games haven't been competitive, but even when Ohio State was winning all the time, there was a lot of good games in there.
Yep, I agree.
The fans hate each other.
And the irony of that is it was really it really hit its peak when Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes went at it back in the 70s and early 80s.
That's over my pay grade.
Way over your pay grade, but I think I'd throw that next to maybe look a little smarter than you.
Okay.
All right, Kevin. Kevin, what do you got?
How about when Gerald Ford was playing Ohio State?
Yeah, I don't think it was a big rivalry then, though. Kevin.
All right, I'm going to go with Bruins-Canadiens, original 6 rivalry. I think they have the most games played against each other ever for professional hockey. My favorite moment, Horton's goal in 2011, Game 7. That was an easy one for me. I feel like that's pretty obvious. And then I'm going to go, you went Michigan-Ohio State. I'm going to do Bama-Auburn, the Iron Bowl. The kick return is all time.
The kick's sick. That's true. You're right.
Unbelievable. That's the most memorable one. I also love that the rivalry is so crazy that Bama fans kill trees that Auburn has. And
Jack was
going
to bring that up.
I mentioned that last night. Yeah.
Funny. So
right on Paul Feinbaum.
So that's great.
Right?
So
guy calls it the Feinbaum show.
So
I just poisoned the trees.
Here's the
They're like, what?
Okay, here's a question I'm going to ask about. We've got a couple. I don't know if Barcelona, Madrid, what it is, but Red Sox, Yankees, Celtics, Lakers early, and then Bama, Auburn, and the Bruins, Canadiens. The Red Sox. They were dominated by for the longest time. The Canadiens dominated Bruins up until recent past. So is it a rivalry? And listen, I believe it is. If one team's always winning, is it a rivalry or is it like the underdog mentality? How would you look at it that way?
It's a good point. I think it's more just about how much they hate each other, rather than the performances. I think that's kind of how I think about it in that sense. Obviously, Bama's dominant, but, Auburn had some wins. Cam Newton, all that stuff. So it's even when the underdog gets one, once every 5 years, once every 10 years, it's actually a bigger win for them. Than kind of the perennial winner. So
yeah, that's the way I look at it, but that's good. Jack, anything on that?
Yeah, Auburn's going to win the football game. Yeah, the Chris Davis kick 6. Yeah, that and they were going nuts. And yeah, there's a lot of hatred there. And is it my pick now? So I'm going to go.
Yeah, get the next.
I'm going to go off hatred, and this is a personal hatred, and I hate picking this because it's just how lopsided it's been recently and how forgettable it's been recently. But Liverpool, Man United. No, it is the biggest rivalry in English football. I know Kevin might disagree with that in terms of hatred and location, but Liverpool and Man United, the 2 most successful clubs, is the 2 biggest clubs in England. And my God, do the fans hate each other. And my God, do I hate Liverpool. I hate Liverpool more than I hate the Yankees. It's gotten to that. And that's more of a thing of, I've dominated the Yankees as a fan. I have not dominated Liverpool as a fan. I can't stand Liverpool. And I know all Man United fans can't stand Liverpool, and all Liverpool fans can't stand Man United.
Now, how do you think about, how does that compare to the Manchester Derby?
Oh, it's not even close.
Really? Okay. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that.
Kevin, you know what's funny is I asked that question yesterday, too, is because we have some non-soccer, what do they mean by Derby? Anyone want to explain that one?
Basically just a rivalry game.
No, it's the same town.
Yeah, it's
our Derby's the same city game, I think.
So then it would be like Liverpool, Everton?
Yeah.
Chelsea, Fulham?
Merseyside
Chelsea,
Derby.
Fulham?
It's a Derby's the same city.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Same
Man
city.
City's no. There's no history in that Man City United rivalry.
The history
There's 15 years of history.
The
in it.
history is that the Man City just keeps kicking their ass for every day I launch.
The history is the noisy neighbors comment, and it's more of a city can point to the rivalry and be like, look at how we overcame this and all of that. But yeah, the Liverpool-Man United rivalry has been going on forever. So
Okay, so Jack, you took Man U, Liverpool. I'm going to go my back-to-back picks. I'm going to take Bears, Packers. Football been going on forever. George Halas dominated, and Lombardi dominated, and Bears were good for a little bit, and now it's Rodgers and Favre. The Packers have taken that over. Great matchups at Soldier Field and at Lambeau. Soldier Field, the abomination that is Soldier Field now after they redid it in Chicago, but Lambeau is like the mecca of professional football. And then next one I'm going to say is I'm going to go Giants Dodgers baseball. It's a great one. Both were in New York. Both went to California. Both went out to California together. They hated each other. This was one just like the Red Sox Yankees. In the 60s, the players hated each other. John Riseborough and Juan Marichal. Marichal taking a bat to his head. They hate each other. The fans now take over where the Giant fan got abused in Dodger Stadium, almost got killed. And then the Giants win like 150 million games and losing the NLDS to the Dodgers after they won these great games. I would go that, and a lot of that dates all the way back to their time in New York. So
yeah, I was about to pick that one. I like that one because that rivalry happened in two different cities. Like it's been going on. They both moved. I saw it. So I think the Dodgers moved out first, right?
Yeah, the Giants
and
came
the
with the
Dodgers
Dodgers,
owner convinced the Giants to come out with them and keep the rivalry going. So that's real good.
Yep.
I was probably about to pick them. I'm going to go with another college football one, and this one it might be the biggest college football rivalry. It has its own weekend. Nobody else plays during this. I'm going Army-Navy. And this has been going on forever. They used to be the two best teams in the country in like the 40s and the 50s playing for national championships.
Yep.
Heisman winners on those two teams, albeit a long time ago. But yeah, they have their own week. They have their own week to play the rivalry game. There's rivalry week in college football, and then there's Army-Navy week after rivalry week.
That is correct, and that was one we talked about too. Army was dominant. They were dominant during the war period. They were dominated. Army dominated because they got all the good athletes. And the Navy was really good with Roger Staubach in the early 60s. And since the academies now have limited weight and height restrictions, it's sort of been tough. Good pick, though, there. Kevin, you're up.
All right. Since we already did Xavier UC, I'm not going to put this on my top
You can
7.
put it on the top 7. I think it's not bad.
I'll put it as an honorable mention because I like these other ones that I got here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Red River. I'm going to go Texas, Oklahoma. I think that's a good one. I didn't know that they actually play at a neutral site every year, and then half the
Cotton
stadium,
Bowl,
half the stadium's in orange and half's in red. So I think that's a good one. Always a
Excellent.
must-watch. Texas has sucked, and now Oklahoma kind of sucks, but
And now they're both going to the SEC together.
yeah, so it'll be good. Good
All
for
right.
both programs.
Who do you got next?
Then I will do the Derby della Madonnina. I will do the Milan Derby. Inter Milan versus AC Milan. Very similar to El Clasico in terms of two very traditional, historic clubs. Both have won Champions Leagues. Both have won, I think, 10-plus Serie A's. So, yeah, just great players that have played for both of those teams as well. They actually played in the Champions League semifinals this past year, which was awesome. I think that's, bad blood. Inter was more of the upper class. Milan's more of the working class, historically, not so much now. But I'll go with that as well.
So if I'm going to guess, Jack's next one will stay in the same genre.
No, I'm not going soccer. No,
No, you're not going to go Celtics.
I'm trying to pick between a baseball and a football rivalry here.
Okay, so you're going to pick.
You know what?
between
I already have baseball. I like this rivalry, but I'm going to go with Steelers Ravens.
That's a good one.
You know what? I was thinking about it. Like I hadn't thought about it, but I just feel like they play twice every year. They're in the same division. I just feel recently they both of them I feel like are generally very successful. Like the Steelers, what have they had? 3 coaches in 50 years, and they're almost over 500 every year. And the Ravens are pretty competitive all the time. And the other thing, it's the Bengals and the Browns in that division who normally both suck.
Yep.
So now it's the Bengals are the kings of that division, but normally it's those two fighting for the division. And they're actually not that close, but
That's good then. So I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm the host. This is actually a 3-team trifecta rivalry because I can't pick. No, don't give me that crap, Jack.
let's hear it first.
I'm going to
very
go. I'm going
curious
to go
about
the
this.
3 Florida college football.
Nah, that doesn't
teams.
count. Nope.
That don't count. So
I would have picked that.
Oh, you would have picked
Yeah,
that?
Florida State, Miami.
Hold on, Kevin. I would have picked that.
You
What about?
pick.
So you're doing Florida, FSU, and
you gotta
Miami.
pick- you gotta pick one.
I had to pick one, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna pop off on that one, and then I'm
What's that? What did he try to do there?
I'm
That
gonna
was
go
insane.
cut. I'm gonna go cut.
I was impressed.
I'm going to add Penn State to my Ohio State-Michigan
No,
rivalry.
no. You can think that's funny, but those teams.
I'm going to add Arsenal to Liverpool, Man United.
But those teams all play each other. It's for the state of Florida. I'm going to go baseball, Cubs, Cards.
Yep.
Will be my next one. And
That's
then,
a good one.
And then I'm going to go down the next thing. I'll go back into the basketball world, and I'm going with something that really lay dormant for a long time in the college basketball world. Tennis, Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville versus Kentucky, which has not been. They finally resurrected that when Calipari came into play. He wanted to play everybody. So I'm going to go, like I said, Cubs, Cards, Louisville, Kentucky.
That's in my neck of the woods.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Everything
Big
that's
one.
been picked so far has been on my list. I like the Cardinals Cubs because that's an old drive. I mean, those teams have been around for over 100 years, both of them. So it's my pick now?
Yes, it is. So
What do I want to
Can I
add?
ask
So I
you-
have 2 picks
Can I
left,
ask
right?
you another question, though? Why are you going to make fun? Can I not pick the Big Five then?
No,
Is
no.
it rivalry?
No, you have to pick. No,
Okay.
Big Five's not. No. What? Okay, I'm not gonna get mad. I'm gonna take a hockey rivalry just because you know
Ooh,
what,
a
and I might
hockey
be.
rivalry.
I could be wrong. I think it's an original 6 rivalry.
It is.
Chicago, Detroit.
It is.
Yeah.
a-
Okay,
Yeah,
Chicago, Detroit,
Yep.
and all right. I mean, just some great players throughout there. A good amount of titles on the 2 teams. So I don't have a lot to say about that, but it's
That's
a big
true.
rivalry.
Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe rivalry.
Lindstrom. Is that his name?
No.
No, who's the
Yeah.
defender?
Defender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lindstrom. Yeah.
All right, so
lefty.
he's got.
I love how he goes,
we
"No."
got our second hockey. Okay, so
That's a good one.
Kevin, you got 2. What do you? 1, 2, 3, 4. You got your last 2, right?
My last 2. So I'm gonna go. I have some honorable mentions I'd like to share after this.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay, we'll do honor mentions quick because we're really going to go over our hour
Well,
here.
we'll do them after. So
No one's rushing us out of here.
So
That's
I'm gonna
true.
go. This is biased, but I'm gonna go Notre Dame USC.
That's a good one.
Another very traditional rivalry. Obviously not in the same area or anything. More just based off of success, but they play each other every year. Last year, Caleb Williams kind of coming out party, kind of in that game where they won in Southern Cal. So I'm gonna go with that. And then last but not least, I'm gonna go Arsenal Tottenham. Tottenham are pathetic. They stink. They've never won anything. The last time they won was 5,672 days ago, and it was the League Cup, which is meaningless. Jack will say it's meaningful because he won it last year, but it's not meaningful. And then before
it
that,
means
if we're
something.
talking real trophies, the last one they won was in, I believe, 1991, and was the FA Cup. So they haven't won a Premier League. They've never won a Champions League. They lost to Liverpool in that a few years ago.
You know what the problem with that is?
Never won a
pathetic. They
Champions
You know
stink.
what the problem with that
They
is?
always
I can't
lose.
even.
Sounds familiar. Both of them haven't won a Champions League.
I can't even.
I don't know about
I
that.
can't even spell that name. Okay,
What?
okay. Tottenham. Is it Tottenham Hotspurs?
Tottenham Hotspur.
Hotspur. Okay.
Yeah, and
All
they
right. So
stink.
that's your. You got that's your 7. So Kevin, you got soccer.
No,
Perfect.
no. What I got?
I'm just
I
teasing.
got
No, wait,
I'm
we'll
just giving you
go
crap.
through it over. But
That's
for
what I
Kevin,
got.
that's
seven. That's
we'll go
pretty
through
good.
it in a minute. Jack, you
like
got your
Liverpool
last-
United. Like for Kevin, that's a major personal hatred rivalry, right? You
hatred.
can't even look at Tottenham without getting like nauseous and ugh.
disgusted.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna go this because I get claimed for having recency bias, but I don't think this has enough recency bias in this. I think this rivalry really was big for the NBA, even though it did get screwed by some absolute 6'11" lanky loser. But we had two just great years in the greatest NBA finals I ever saw. I'm gonna go Cavs Warriors, and it's basically what you would try and do because you like have a million things. It's basically LeBron versus anyone.
Yeah, that's what.
And you have to pick a LeBron rivalry.
And I agree with that because I
and
have.
those 2 championships were great. They were.
I have written
Especially
down on
that
my
one.
list here. I've got written down Pistons versus the Jordan Bulls. So you're right, the same thing. I
Yeah,
agree.
but I think this is even bigger than that because it was in the finals and it was LeBron winning it. So it's almost the same thing. Jordan really didn't have a team in the finals. He played multiple because he chickened out of the Houston series that
All
they
right,
could have
good.
had.
All right, so I get the last pick, and I'm going to go with the completely off the wall Harvard Yale football.
Wow.
They've been there forever. That'll get me some Tommy T votes.
Yes,
if
it
you
will.
really want to know
Yeah,
the truth.
if we get this, if J Trev's people listen to this, I'm screwed now. J Trev's not going to pick me.
Yeah, you won't. So that's what I got. Harvard Yale. Just you had an honorable mention.
So I had
Jeff?
a couple.
I have
They're more soccer ones, but Celtic Rangers, where that's in Glasgow.
I had that on my
It's
list.
Catholicism versus Protestantism,
That's
so
what Jack is
that's
in.
pretty big.
Wait, can I say a story about that? That's
Indiana,
So
Pakistan.
Sir Alex Ferguson, who's the most, now he's not the most iconic manager in English football history, I guess, but he is managed Man United. He, as a player, played for Rangers, right? And his wife, Kathy, great lady, she is a Catholic, and they like treated her like garbage, the Rangers, because she was Catholic. His wife, and he ended up having to leave the club.
All right, you've taken
Crazy.
Kevin's. And Xavier and Cincinnati would be another one, right?
We covered that though.
Oh, we got to talk about that though. So Xavier Cincinnati,
Oh my
come
God,
on.
I have notes. So
Come on,
we wanted
Yancey
to talk
Gates,
about.
individual Yancey Gates versus Mark Lyons.
Oh,
you
so-
know where I come from. We don't back down.
I have the quotes here. So obviously it was
Lions and Lowe, right? Was that the other one?
Lyons and Gates. No, two Holloway.
two Holloway
Holloway, that was
too.
it.
And then the guy who went to Maryland because of
Des Wells.
yeah.
Deswell,
And then Kenny Freese too. He got hit in the hit in the eye.
Deswell
And then Mick Cronin was the star of that.
Des Wells went to Maryland because he
All right,
couldn't
let's
spell
see
his
what Kevin
last
has.
So
name.
I have some
Go.
notes.
Okay,
so,
go real quick.
So they made the Sweet 16 that year because Duke lost to Lehigh,
Yeah.
and they played him in the second round.
There's
Hugh
another-
Holloway said in the press conference, "We're grown men over here. We got a whole bunch of gangsters in the locker room. Not thugs, but tough guys on the court. We went out there and zipped them up." And then after that, Mick Cronin said he physically took jerseys off their players, off his own players, and said that, basically that, they will only play when I tell them to.
That shit don't
That
stink.
Mick Cronin post-game speech was all time.
Yeah.
All
And then,
time.
so Xavier lost in the A-10 championship. Who did they lose to?
Temple.
Nope.
They should have. I don't
Andrew
know.
Nicholson.
Yeah,
and
Temple.
the
Oh,
St.
St.
Bonaventure
Bonnie.
Bonnies.
Why didn't I have time
St.
to answer that?
Bonnie's,
Because
yeah.
I knew Temple lost to Andrew Nicholson one year, and I would have guessed
So
that.
that's good.
Temple was great that
Cronin,
year, too.
That shows you what Cronin then starts to become, why he is at UCLA, if you think about that.
He's doing pretty good there,
Okay,
right?
so you mentioned Lafayette, Lehigh. Another one, long football rivalry, Lafayette Lehigh. My father went to Lafayette.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that was another long one.
Interesting.
Anybody on our mention?
Can I just quickly? I have a couple, but about Andrew Nicholson, we that was good to hear him get promoted and shouted out on a podcast because I know he's been going through some things on I couldn't get that out on Draymond Green's podcast. He trashed on Andrew Nicholson for his appearance and was like, "How did I get drafted behind this guy?"
Yeah.
Just randomly, Andrew Nicholson was back in the news
He
recently.
was a lottery pick, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
Magic.
like, that guy
Magic.
looks unathletic. All right.
Kevin, you got any other honorable mentions?
I'm just going to sound like such an idiot here. I
You
have
are.
two more soccer ones. So Boca Juniors River Plate, very similar to Celtic Rangers minus the religion in Argentina. Argentinians are crazy.
Yes, they are.
And that's a big one. And then Roma Lazio, Derby della Capitale, both in Rome. Big one.
Awesome.
All
Some soccer talk
Yeah.
here.
I
Awesome.
got
Check
three.
those out.
I got three. One that probably should have been picked: Cowboys Eagles. I picked Steelers Ravens over that. I think Cowboys Eagles is a good rivalry, even though it's like Cowboys Redskins. I guess is more like
It is bigger.
historical,
And
but
and
I
Eagles,
think
Giants,
recently
Cowboys,
past 20 years,
right,
it's Cowboys. I also have Syracuse Georgetown basketball, but that's again one of
I
it's
had
like who do you pick for Patty Ewing? It's basically Patty Ewing Patty Ewing and John Thompson created the Big East. Do you pick them versus St. John's? Do you pick them versus Villanova, or do you pick them versus Syracuse?
Correct.
You got to pick one. And then my last one, this is just, I don't know how big it is, but it's an inner city rivalry, and I have Islanders Rangers just because I need another hockey
That's
one.
true. That's true.
So those are my three.
Okay, so I can go.
That's my whole
I'm going to go completely off the wall here, and I'm going to go UConn, Tennessee women's college basketball,
Wow.
which changed the whole world of college hoop. I'm going to go with the Chiefs Raiders, and Jack does not understand that this is recency bias. The Chiefs Raiders were the first two teams to play in the Super Bowl from the AFL against the Packers. Both lost. Those two fan bases hate each other. So I'm going to take that from football, and I'm going to go on the basketball side. I'm going to Celtics Sixers, which again, growing up for me, that was the big rivalry because I'd always see the Celtics and the Sixers play. So
Another one could be like the Heat versus
Knicks,
Knicks, right?
Yeah.
With Riley and
Yeah, I have that one on my list.
Riley
too.
and Van Gundy. Would that have been?
Yeah, I have that, and I also have on my list. I've got Florida, Georgia, which nobody picked up. That's a game played on neutral site, the world's largest cocktail party. I have India, Pakistan, because those two cricket major league players.
Like England, France.
And then I did have Syracuse, Georgetown, Jack, with you. I also one we really missed is a big miss is Indiana, Purdue is a huge rivalry in
Yeah,
Indiana.
I'd seen that
that
when I was
is.
researching stuff.
Yeah, I should have actually had that on my list.
That's a hard one to
That's near
remember.
me as well.
And then the Yankees, Mets.
And then what'd you have for individual rivalries?
Individual, I'll go right down my list.
quick.
I'll go down the list. I had Ollie Frazier.
Yep.
I had Nicholas Palmer. I I had Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe. I had Bird Johnson. I had Messi, Ronaldo. I had Federer, Nadal. I had Everett, Navratilova. I had Woods, Mickelson. I had Manning, Brady. I had Williams, DiMaggio, and Russell versus Wilt. Those are my individual ones. So I did a lot of research, Kevin. I have nothing to do with my life sometimes, so I get to do that. But
you're in your golden years, Jimbo.
No, I'm not. I'm in my pre-golden years. Don't give me that. So, I'll give a real quick recap if I can read what I wrote. Kevin, you had Madrid versus Barcelona, Bruins, Canadians, Bama, Auburn, Texas, Oklahoma, Milan versus Milan, Notre Dame, USC, which is Milan AC versus Milan piece of shit.
Just say Inter versus AC or Inter versus
And then
Milan.
your final one was Arsenal, Tottenham. Jack had the best rivalry in the world, Red Sox, Yankees, Ohio State, Michigan. He's had two really good picks there. Man United, Liverpool sucks. Yeah. Army, Navy is a nice pick. Just it's a good old-time pick. Steelers, Ravens, Red Wings, Blackhawks, and Warriors, Cavs. I go with the best group again. Celtics, Lakers, Duke, Carolina, Bears, Packers, Giants, Dodgers, Cubs, Cardinals. A lot of baseball for me, isn't it? Louisville, Kentucky, and Harvard, Yale. So really good.
Your first three were very good.
Fun picks. Yeah. And then Harvard gets me the Tommy Tebow.
Yeah. He had the wrap.
That's always important.
So as we're wrapping up here, Kevin, thanks for coming in. It's great to have you in it. We'll have you back as much as we can. I want to get the foursome in that we used to travel with and talk some travel stories because there's a lot of fun. And I know we can only see 4 mics, but I can double. Justin and Chris could double up on a mic if I have to do that.
Well, we got to watch the Indiana-Iowa game.
The what?
The Indiana-Iowa
Oh my
game.
God, that's right. We have that on tape. I forgot about that.
You talked about it last episode.
Yeah, we have Indiana-Iowa. Tommy Trevisani versus Jim Boyle. With Justin Trevisani on Iowa, and I don't know, and Carl Beatrice was on Iowa, I think, too. And then we had Dylan Bresnahan, Kevin O'Donnell, Jack Boyle, and Joey Ribeiro was the other one on that team. So that's what we had. But Kevin, again, I really appreciate you coming in. Jack, any last words?
No, I had a good draft again, but that's expected at this point.
Kevin, he always has a good draft.
Yep.
He always has a
It's a great way to wrap it up.
So like I said, thanks to Kevin for coming in. We're going to have more guests coming in later. Justin Trevisani, Chris Greco. Amanda Boyle wants to come in and debate her brother because I'm sure she'll kick his ass all over the court.
Debate about what? Taylor Swift?
Yeah, Taylor Swift. But she'll still kick your butt all over the court.
Yeah, okay.
So like I said, episode 4 is a wrap. I appreciate Jack and especially Kevin coming in. And this is Jim Boyle. And for It All Boils Down to This. And we'll see you next time and see you on down the road. Thanks for listening to this episode of It All Boils Down to This, recorded at WCTV studios in our hometown of Wilmington, Massachusetts. We're always open to any ideas, critiques, topics, and guests. So if anyone out there in podcast world needs to get a hold of us, we can be reached via email at jboyle22@comcast.net. Along with Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle. Make sure to tune in to the next edition of It All Boils Down to This.